no one's going to love your money more than you, or no one's going to want to look after it more than you. And so I was like, why did I outsource that completely to this person? What makes him special? What makes me not special? And I realized that I can learn anything. So I'm like, well, let me learn this money thing. So I remember at the time, everyone was buying property. Property seems to be the go-to asset class for most people because it's very easy to understand. It's like, buy a house, put a tenant in there, you pay me rent, I pay mortgage, the end. It's very easy. But in Dubai, there was no way I could really own real estate because they have 99-year leases there. And it just was not a good time for me to start loading up with debt in my 20s. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I actually, at a bookstore once, on going on a flight, I found this book by Warren Buffett. Well, it's about Warren Buffett's life, called The Snowball by Alice Schroeder. And I thought that investing in stocks is all about charts and trading and sitting in front of a computer and the Wolf of Wall Street and blah, blah, blah. And it's just not that at all. It's a complete opposite of that, thankfully. And through that book, I learned about Warren Buffett's life. And in the book was my first introduction to what's called value investing, where you're buying assets, businesses, which are what stocks are, pieces of businesses for a lot less than what they're worth. And that concept of buying things for a lot less than what they're worth was very easy for me to grasp. I grasped it very quickly. And that was what started me on the journey of learning. And then beyond that, I've literally read, you can see in my office here, I read all the books on investing I can get my hands on.
That's awesome.
And I did the CFA charter pro. So I'm actually a lawyer by profession. I actually graduated law school and became a lawyer. And I did corporate finance at law as an elective to learn, which helped a little bit. But it wasn't until I did the CFA charter program, which is the hardest exam in the financial world ever. It's like a 6-hour closed book exam once a year. It's a nightmare. And I signed up, and I for 5 years, I failed level 1 twice, passed it, went to level 2, passed it, got to level 3. And I went to sit the exam level 3, which is the final level, where you start to learn how to levitate. And it's and then I got into network marketing and realized I could scale my money. I was like, why am I doing the CFA? What's the point in it? I was in small business at that point. So I'm like, what's the point in getting another designation? I've got all these degrees and like, why? And so I had this big battle in my head to step away from it to focus on actually making money. But what did help me in that process was becoming an analyst. So it taught me derivatives and financial statement analysis and statistics and probabilities. And it taught me, equities and bonds. And I mean, there's 10 topics across. So I really threw myself in the deep end doing that. And it was brutal. So like I was in my house in Dubai studying 20 hours a week, like for 6 months, using all my annual leave and weekends. And my roommates are in flipping Brazil at the Carnivale partying. So that's what it looked like. And I thought myself, one day this will pay off. One day it'll pay off. Because the reason I thought that is because few people would do that, would sit there and study while their friends are away. They wouldn't. It's just ridiculous. So I thought it'll pay off. And then eventually it did, but it wasn't for another 10 years it would pay off,
Yeah.
So that's how I got in. That's how I learned more than most people about money and finance. I actually threw myself into a very high level course.
Yeah. And that CFA I can say is definitely one of the hardest ones out there without question. I personally have not done it. I got a degree in finance, like a bachelor's, and that's it. It was enough for me to get my hands dirty and all that and grasp a bunch of different concepts. But the number one area where I developed a lot of my understanding of investing and stuff was actually in an investment simulator where it allows you to trade real time with fake money. And to anybody who's out there listening and is interested in, getting their hands dirty without losing their money right away or being afraid to lose their money more specifically, you can get a huge grasp on it doing it that way, which is great.
That's a good thing too. I remember my buddy, he was like a trader. He came out of university and I went to school with him. And he sent me one of those. Testing accounts, trial accounts. You could do that. And I remember getting on there and like buying gold and buying it. And I just had no idea what the hell I was doing. And I was like, what the? And then years later, it wasn't until I read Warren Buffett's book. I think, to be frank, reading those books, not the CFA, but the actual books anyone can pick up off Amazon, I would say help me the most. Yeah. Like self-education helped me the most.
What would be your top 3 books that you would recommend that people read?
Well, when I read, I think The Snowball is really good because you learn the basic concepts and the life of someone who is the best at it. The second one, if you read that book, you then learn about The Intelligent Investor by Ben Graham, which is arguably the number 1 book of all time on investing. I think that's a great one. It's a little bit challenging some areas, but chapter 8 is critically important. And then the third one is probably, God, there's so many good ones. I like Manish Prabhai's book called The Dando Investor. I think that's really good. But again, I think you pick up financial statement. So many. I couldn't tell you. Like, I love all of them.
That's great.
One up on Wall Street, Peter Lynch. There's so many, but they're the three I think. Snowball, Intelligent Investor, and the Dando Investor.
If you're interested in learning more about the tidbits and advice that they have, then you should consider subscribing to the 2 Comma Club newsletter, where you'll get daily updates and advice on the podcast and the things that we are learning from the individuals who have made at least $1 million. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com or click the link in the description down below and subscribe.